Today, we're going to be breaking down a great wide receiver football IQ quiz to test your knowledge of the position. So if you're not familiar with our quiz style videos, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a pre-snap look just like the one on the screen here. I'm going to ask you a series of questions about the look. How would you run a certain route versus a certain coverage? I'm going to give you guys a chance to pause the video, think about your answer, and then we'll break down why your answer is right or wrong. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to be showing an incorrect example of how you run the route, and then we're going to show a correct example of how you run the route right after, so you guys get kind of an idea of what I am talking about. So first example here is how would you guys run a 10 to 12 yard dig route versus this specific type of coverage? So how would you guys run a 10 to 12 yard dig versus this specific type of coverage? You guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answer. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So first things first, as a wide receiver, we need to come up with a plan off the line of scrimmage, right? Sometimes that plan can change. Sometimes the DB can change up what he does, but our plan is based off of what the DB is showing pre-snap. So we are looking for two specific things. We are looking for the distance he has between me and him. So is he 2 yards off like so? Is he pressed up right up on the line? Is he 5 yards away? Is he 8 yards away? And then we are pay attention to his shade, aka his leverage, right? So in this case, he is shaded a little bit to the inside. That means he has inside leverage. He does not want to let us run to the inside. So if I have to run a route like a dig, that's an inside breaking route. His job is to not let me do that. So one of the common mistakes that a lot of wide receivers will make is that they think just because I'm running an inside breaking route, I have to take an inside release. It's based on the DB's leverage. Unless, it's a situation where it's a mandatory outside release or a mandatory inside release. But if it's not, guys, it's based on the DB's leverage. So if you guys said you want to try to attack the DB's leverage, close the space with him, step on his toes to try to move him inside, then take the outside release, you would be 100% correct. If you guys said, I'm going to give a fake off the ball and take this inside release and then go, that would be wrong. And we're going to explain why. So that's what Claypool ultimately does here. So Claypool tries to do a little quick fake, but he forces this inside release. Not only is that DB getting handed, maybe there's a little bit of a jersey grab right here. But guys, we can't run a dig from the top of the numbers and end up all the way on the hashes over here. Like, guys, in a real game scenario, let's say it's a concept where it's a double dig, where this dig is at 12 and then we have a dig at 8 yards. If you're getting rerouted and you're running your dig and you're right on top of the other dig, one defender could guard two routes. That is not good spacing, guys. So we can't force it. His whole entire obligation with this coverage is to get hands on us to disrupt timing and to not let us get to the inside. When he reroutes us like that, route's over. He did his ultimate job. So what we'd want to do is we'd want to attack him to the inside. Because remember, the best way to get a DB to move and create space off the ball, make him think we're running where he doesn't want us to go. And the next example we're going to show is Claypool actually correcting his own mistake, right? With the exact same coverage and the exact same route. You want to attack him inside, move him off the platform, and work to take that outside release. Okay, so I'm going to play this full speed one more time, and then we're going to get into the correct example of Chase Claypool working this exact same route. So guys, again, pre-snap look, inside shade, he's got to run a 10 to 12 yard dig. So remember, we want to attack him inside, and then we want to work to take that outside release. Now, before I show this clip full speed, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you would like to train with myself and my staff of coaches this offseason, we are going to be coming out to 9 more states across the country for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. So guys, check out that very first link in the description below. If you are local to one of these cities, we've already been to San Francisco, Miami, Vegas, Charlotte, Portland, and Dallas. All of those camps were completely sold out within the first couple months. Then we're coming out to Nashville, Chicago, Buffalo, our Philadelphia camp. Those 4 camps I just highlighted, those are also sold out, but we still have available spots in Atlanta, Houston, Detroit, Boise, and LA, you guys. So guys, if you're local to one of those cities, would like to train with us or get added to a wait list for one of our sold out camps, guys, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have all you there, and we hope we could see most of you there. We'd love having our YouTube audience out to our camps. So let's get back to this video. So now let's show this correct example of Claypool. So remember, we said we want to attack him inside, try to hold that leverage, and take the outside release. Now, a lot of people are hesitant on this because they think, well, I'm not going to be able to get to a position where you stack him. And you see how much room too, guys, that he's giving the quarterback to lead. He's catching this ball. Again, the quarterback kind of threw this late too, honestly, but he's still not right on the hash. He gave the quarterback room, and he kept timing, right? Because remember, guys, we don't want to just run into contact from this DB and force the route into his leverage, because if he gets hands, that's his goal in press. His goal at press is to disrupt timing with the quarterback. Now, a lot of people are hesitant to do this because they think, I'm going to attack him inside. Okay, cool, but I take this outside release. Well, what if the DB's faster than me? What if I can't stack over him? Because the goal in man-to-man coverage always is to stack a DB. Stacking means when that DB is trailing our back hip, kind of like how Claypool is able to make that move like in front of the DB here. But what if we can't stack it? What if he is right on my hip? What can I do? And this is why it's important to get skinny on your routes. Whenever you take an outside release versus inside shade press, we should be trying to run as close as we can to this guy. Because at the break point, if I can't stack him, what could I do? I could take that inside arm, put it on the back of his shoulder, back of his hip, swat by, and slip under. And guess what? Maybe the break was a little bit slower. Quarterback does not mind, especially in man coverage, as long as you were giving him space and you kept spacing on the route. So, guys, that's how you'd run that dig route versus inside shade press. If you guys said that, that is correct, but it's good to show the negative example and the positive example so you guys get a better idea. So, this is going to be another situation where we show a negative example and then a positive example, right? So, the question here, this is going to be the second question of the wide receiver IQ quiz. How would you guys run a slant route versus this specific coverage? So, how would you guys run a three-step slant versus this specific coverage? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answers. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So if you guys said a diamond release or attack his outside shoulder and outside hip for 3 steps, that would be correct. Now, a diamond release is pretty much exactly what this receiver does, but this receiver makes a crucial mistake. Because remember, guys, the receiver position is not about just having the IQ, and it's not about just only having the IQ, and it's not about just only having the technique and the physical attributes. You need a combination of both. You need technique and you need knowledge. So this receiver has the knowledge. He knows he's got to attack this DB's outside shoulder. The goal is to get him to flip, but the route, the technique was not there. So let's talk about why, right? Because remember, this DB's inside shade. So remember, when we have inside shade, he's trying to prevent the inside route. We talked about that with the dig. You guys all know this. But on a slant route where it's a 3-step slant, I can't really attack him inside, take the outside release, and stack him. I don't have that kind of time. I have to run a 3-step slant, and I have to keep my timing with my quarterback. So what we want to try to do is we want to try to get this DB to do something called open up the gate. We want to try to get his hips and his shoulders to flip to the opposite end zone, and we want to make him think we are running a fade. It's the same difference if I'm lined up here and I got a DB who's sitting at like 7 and I have to run an 8-yard post. I'm not going to attack him for 7 and then try to stack to 8. I'm going to attack his outside shoulder and outside hip and try to flip him. We got to sell fade, right? So now since we're in the red zone here, it's a little bit tougher, but what this wide receiver does when he comes off the ball, he's attacking the outside shoulder, but you see how wide he is running. Nobody's threatened by a fade because that angle is going straight to the sideline. Remember, an inside shade press, that's what that DB wants us to do. He wants to prevent the inside route and force us to the sideline. So, guys, when we take this really wide angle, even if we get this DB to flip his hips open to the fade, we still got to get back to the slant over here. And when we have this big gap of space between the two of us, he could even, this is an easy play for him. But even if he had his gate opened up and he was committed to the fade, he could easily recover because we just don't, you never want to leave that kind of space between you and a DB so he could drive and make a play on the ball. And like, yeah, we caught the ball, but like, guys, it's like a half a yard gain. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not good. The only time a half a yard gain is good is probably 3rd and inches, right? So, guys, if you said diamond release, that's correct. But remember, we have to have the technique as well. So that's going to be the second example that we're talking about. Now, so same deal. This receiver's running a slant. We have inside shade press. He's running a slant, just 3 hard steps, going to attack his outside shoulder and outside hip. He's not going wide. He is going at his outside shoulder and outside hip. A lot of people think a diamond release, oh, it has to be a 45-degree angle. It does not have to be a 45-degree angle. I want you guys to get that out of your head. It is about attacking, again, the outside shoulder and the outside hip. We want to run as close as we can so I'm able to slip underneath. Because, again, guys, even if this DB doesn't overcommit like this, and he stays patient, at least I still got a chance to slip under him. Let's say I get his hips to open up like we do right here. It's very easy for us to slip under, and he doesn't have a chance to speed turn, open up his hips, and ultimately recover. We have to run as tight as we can to that DB. And also, guys, if this DB was a little bit closer, I think this receiver maybe could have even been a little bit closer. What could you do with this inside arm? You could put it on the back of his shoulder, back of his hip, and swat him by, just like that throw-by move that we showcased on that dig with Chase Claypool, okay? So, guys, I hope that helps. Let's get into this next question. Now, before we get into this question, though, you guys, if you are a football player, receiver, quarterback, any position, and you would like to get faster, we just started posting content on our new YouTube channel called First Down Athletes. So if you search up First Down Athletes or leave a comment in the description below, I can send you over the channel information, guys. We'd really appreciate if you subscribe to that channel. We are uploading just about 2 to 3 times every single day with long-form YouTube videos, YouTube shorts, all centered around speed, strength, gym exercises, all stuff, supplements for for wide receivers, quarterbacks, and any football player to help their athleticism. So guys, we'd really appreciate if you subscribe to that channel, First Down Athletes. If you have questions, feel free to post them in the comments. I'd be happy to answer it for you. Let's get back to this video. So now, next thing here, we're going to be talking about this situation. How would you guys run a 5-yard out versus this specific type of coverage? So how would you run a 5-yard out versus this specific coverage? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answers. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So first things first, as a receiver, we want to try to come up with our plan. What's the DB's leverage and how close or how far is he, right? So he's right up on the line of scrimmage, and he is outside shade this time. He's probably outside shade because this wide receiver cut his split down, right? Remember the last couple receivers we were looking at were lined up on the numbers. They're probably doing that to run an inside breaking route. This receiver cuts his split down to probably use the space to the outside. So a smart DB will line up outside shade. Now, when he's outside shade, and I got to run a 5-yard out. If you guys said, oh, I'm going to attack his leverage, take an inside release, and work to stack, that's incorrect, guys. We're probably not going to be able to stack. You almost want to treat this like a diamond release. Remember, if he's inside shade and I got to run a slant and my break point is even with where he's playing his coverage, I'm not going to stack. I'm going to try to get his gate to open up. I'm going to try to open up his hips. So it's pretty much the same thing right here. We're just attacking inside shoulder and inside hip. And we have to make sure that we are selling what? We got to sell vertical. We got to sell like we were bursting up to the inside, maybe running a seam, maybe running a corner route that's a little bit deeper, but we have to sell it with speed. So watch what this receiver does. Comes off the ball, hard release to the inside, swats him by, and again, gives the quarterback room. Guys, we have to give the quarterback room. If we don't give the quarterback room to throw us open, we are not going to have this type of play. A lot of guys will think, oh, if I'm running an out route, I have to take an outside release. I get it. There are mandatory outside releases. Sometimes your coach might want you to do it, but if it's not, guys, you got to give the quarterback room. If we force this release, this DB gets hands, reroutes us, puts us on the sideline, and he's right on my hip. Quarterback will never throw that. Give him room to throw us open. So he attacks him a little bit, pushes hard to that inside shoulder, and guess what we got him to do? Open up the gate. Hips and shoulders are committed to the end zone because we ran hard. We ran with long strides. My hips and my shoulders, my eyes, they call that body language. All of it said that I was pushing vertical. So guys, that's how you'd run that 5-yard out versus that outside shade press coverage look.